Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. We have Super Bowl 49 decided in terms of what teams will be playing February 1st, and I want to talk about that. All season, I have been trying to show people that the games are rigged by the numbers based on numerology, and I will have you look at this evidence and see what you think. I will also acknowledge that I predicted the Super Bowl would be Colts. I thought the Colts were going to be in it for sure, and I thought the opponent might be the Lions after the Week 3 games. We're going to revisit all this. I'm going to show you what I had actually found out instead of the Super Bowl. So this is interesting, Truth Seeker. Let's get into it. Let's notice that Seattle and New England both finished the season with 12 wins and 4 losses. In the playoffs, they've both won an additional 2 games. So right now their records are 14-4 for the entire season. Both of them have 14-4 records. This number is of much significance. As we mentioned in the last few posts, all the QBs in the playoffs were wearing the number 12 except for Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers had on 12, Tom Brady had on 12, Andrew Luck had on 12, and Russell Wilson had on 3. But in Seattle, they have the 12th man, as most football fans know. They have this group called the 12th man, so they also have the 12. 12 times 12, Truth Seeker, is 144, right? This number that comes from Revelation 7:4. Well, think about the record 14-4. It's much like 144, right? But there's more than that. This year's Super Bowl is in Glendale, Arizona. Glendale sums to 60 with simple English gematria. Arizona sums to 84. Glendale, Arizona sums to 144. And what's interesting is the last time the Super Bowl was in Glendale, Arizona, New England was in that Super Bowl as well. We'll get more into that. So the other thing about this number 144 is that all year there's been this focus on 44. Recall it was the week 3 games that played on a date with a numerology of 44. The date was September 21st, 2014, so 9-21-14. If you add 9 plus 21 plus 14, you get 44. And on that day, 2 teams had scores having to do with 44. The Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. And it was 44 years earlier that the Baltimore Ravens won the Super Bowl over the Dallas Cowboys. Well, in simple English gematria, if you write out 44 and sum it, it too sums to 144. And in hindsight, the New England Patriots advanced to the Super Bowl by defeating the Baltimore Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. So it seems in hindsight what I decoded was who the New England Patriots would be beating in the playoffs because the season was all about them. So let's move on. As soon as it was obvious that the Patriots were going to win this game because they just demolished the Colts, this game was reminiscent of the way the Colts were demolished by the Cowboys earlier this year. But anyway, as soon as the game ended, I started to focus on this symbol, which has been on New England's field for a number of years. And it just started thinking about how it kind of relates to the location of this year's Super Bowl, Hoover Dam. It has this newly built bridge, which has been shown a lot in car commercials that run during the NFL. Also, this recent Toyota ad showed this bridge destroyed, a very curious ad. Well, anyway, I wanted to look up what it was, so I actually found out what it was. It's called the Longfellow Bridge. People from the area are probably familiar with this bridge. Me being from the West Coast, I'm not. But this symbol is based on something called the Longfellow Bridge. So I said, what's the gematria of Longfellow? And lo and behold, the Pythagorean gematria of Longfellow is 49, and the simple English gematria is 121. And this is exactly like Revelation. Revelation's 49 with Pythagorean gematria, 121 with simple English, just like this word Longfellow. And then I was just looking at this symbol a little more carefully. And Tom Brady, he's going to be the first quarterback to ever start in 6 Super Bowls. This will be his 6th start coming up. He currently has 3 wins and 2 losses. He started off 3-0. He lost the last 2 to Eli Manning. You talk about a scripted league, True Seeker. The Giants have been in the most Super Bowls and league championships in the history of the NFL. Packers second most. And you think about the New England versus Giants Super Bowls, very scripted. And anyway, I'm just looking at this symbol more, wondering if there's some sort of symbolism here, some sort of giveaway for what the future holds. I just see the 4 beams of yellow light. If Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl, he will be 4 wins, 2 losses in Super Bowls all time. If he loses, he will be 3-3. So yeah, that symbol, it's pretty curious. And check out these records for Tom Brady. These are all his records. He's number one in all these things. 28 career playoff starts for a quarterback. Remember, 28 represents complete. It's the sun's solar cycle is a 28-year cycle. He's done 9 career NFL conference championship appearances. That's really a lot when you think about it, Truth Seeker. 9. And this all started in the post 9/11 era. And check out this. He enters Super Bowl 49 with 49 career playoff passing touchdowns. I mean, amazing. 6, though, in numerology represents the flaws of man. Think about the 49ers. They were 5-0 in Super Bowls. San Francisco equals 50. And next year they're hosting Super Bowl 50. But they lost in their 6th. They became 5-1. And they lost to the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get into that. Also, I want to look at these curiosities from the AFC Championship. Andrew Luck and the Colts were getting 33 tributes all season. It had me thinking that it was the sign, in addition to other things, that they were going to be going to the Super Bowl. But look, here he had 33 passing attempts for 126 yards. If you sum the alphabet with the Pythagorean gematria, it sums to 126. So this is just a really curious stat line. Plus, he had a bunch of interceptions. I think this game was even worse statistically than his game against Dallas, which was his worst career game. So in this game, I think he surpassed all of his other games in terms of bad. This was his worst. And Tom Brady, meanwhile, had 35 attempts. Remember, Tom Brady with Pythagorean gematria sums to 35. His life number's 35. And last week, they defeated the Baltimore Ravens 35-31. So think about that, True Seeker. Again, they advanced to the playoffs by beating the Baltimore Ravens, and then the Indianapolis Colts. It was the Baltimore Colts that won the Super Bowl 44 years ago. And also, I just started to think about this more, Truth Seeker. What's going on here in the NFL with how the games are scripted? Because if you can't see that the games are scripted, I mean, you're just not looking. Check this out. In 2001, this is the Super Bowl before September 11th, the Baltimore Ravens won. After September 11th, Tom Brady emerged and the Patriots. Before September 11th, the Patriots had only been to the Super Bowl 2 times, and they had never won. Since Tom Brady in the post 9/11 era, the Patriots have gone to the Super Bowl now 6 times, and they've won 3. And that's pretty much the most impressive span in the history of the league, especially for one quarterback. But what else I wanted you to look at, True Seeker, is just look at this span, 2001 through 2015. This is 15 Super Bowls. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the 15 Super Bowls involved the Patriots, Colts, or Ravens. So again, Truth Seeker, what I tied into was just a piece of the pie, and I foresaw it as the signal of who was going to the Super Bowl. But really, all I had been reading this time is the tributes for the teams that the Patriots were going to defeat in their road to the Super Bowl. And all this time, the Patriots had a 44 connection because they've been in the AFC East for 44 years. So in hindsight, True Seeker, we learned a lot here. I've shown you how you can be right and wrong in this practice. I've shown you what kind of mistakes can be made. So don't throw out all this information just because I've been wrong with some of my projections. There is definitely something very real here, and we're onto it. And if you look at the other teams who participated in these Super Bowls, it's other classic teams like the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. They've had a run in here. So it's very much the historical teams. And it's true like this in all the major sports leagues. In the basketball, the Lakers have always dominated, whether they were in Minnesota or Los Angeles, as well as the Celtics. Those teams own the majority of the titles, even though they're just two of several teams. In baseball, the Yankees have dominated. MLB sums to 27 with simple English gematria. The Yankees have 27 titles. They might never win another. And the same's true in hockey, dominance by the Red Wings and other franchises. So, what I'm trying to do, True Seeker, is I'm trying to reveal how these games are scripted. And I've revealed a lot, but as I've shown, there's also a lot I've been wrong about. So we're living and learning together. Let's very quickly look at Tom Brady's Super Bowls. Remember, in the wake of 9/11, Tom Brady emerged as this new star sensation. He took the team to the Super Bowl, but they only got to the Super Bowl on a highly controversial call. It was so controversial that in the offseason they had to make a new rule called the Tuck Rule, which sums to 39 with Pythagorean gematria. The Tuck Rule, that's how they explained that it wasn't a fumble and the call was right. Otherwise, this Super Bowl would have been Oakland Raiders versus St. Louis Rams. But anyway, the Patriots' unexpected team went to the Super Bowl and beat the St. Louis Rams, who were the dominant team of that season. So that was a surprise. Then the Patriots in Super Bowl 38 defeated the Carolina Panthers. Remember, the Seahawks defeated the Panthers this year. They're the only two teams to ever make it to the Super Bowl with losing records. Then in Super Bowl 39, they defeated the Eagles. Remember, New York and Arizona summed to 39 with Pythagorean gematria. Super Bowl 42 and Super Bowl 46 were against the New York Giants, where he lost in both of those to Eli Manning. The first one was a major upset. And now he will be in Super Bowl 49, entering it with 49 postseason touchdown passes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this Super Bowl. But Tom Brady becomes the first quarterback to ever start in 6 Super Bowls. Just wanted to document what the Patriots Super Bowl history looks like. They went in the 85 season, the 96 season. Didn't win. And then here's the dominance of the Tom Brady era. Undeniable. And they had this 44 connection all along that I overlooked. Now, True Seeker, some of you already saw my post on this. But coming back to this 144 thing, remember there's all this 12 focus. 12 times 12 is 144. The Seahawks and the Patriots both enter the game with 14-4 records. It's in Glendale, Arizona with 144. Name gematria. The word 44, this number that's been the focus all season for many teams. And in hindsight, I think it was just all tributes to who was part of that playoff picture, like the Cowboys scoring that 44th point in Week 17. I don't think it was all arbitrary. I think they were all tributes. We're just learning that that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to the Super Bowl. It's just part of a larger tribute. So anyhow, this is where it gets creepy, Truth Seeker. There was this shooting in Washington, just north of Seattle in Marysville, on October 24th, 2014. The Seahawks immediately became sponsors and supporters of the aftermath of this event, supporting the community because of the tragedy. Well, I only caught this past week because there was a bomb threat at the high school on January 14th, which is exactly 82 days after the initial shooting. And why that stands out to me is because Seattle was simple English gematria sums to 82. I thought that was a sign. But check this out, Truth Seeker. The Super Bowl to the shooting is exactly 100 days. And this website, where you just do the day calculator, it also gives you these alternate calculations. 100 days is the exact same as 144,000 minutes. Emphasis on the 144. And let's see if I got this here. The school is called Marysville Pilchuck. Pilchuck's this 47 word with Pythagorean gematria. MP, the abbreviation, becomes 47, like how Seattle's on the 47th parallel. The first Super Bowl was in the 47th season of the NFL. That's not what I want to show you, though, True Seeker. I'm looking for it here. This is what I'm looking for, the Bible verses. So, Truth Seeker, if you've just started following my posts and only paying attention to the sports stuff, you've missed the main content of my blog. What I'm really doing is showing how sports are connected to current events and world history, and how this is all possible is because the people who are rigging our media, rigging our current events, rigging our world history are the same ones controlling our sports leagues, and they're essentially intertwining the stories like a big connected web. And I'm trying to piece it all together and show how it all fits. In this case, our Super Bowl is going to be New England versus Seattle. What I can tell you, True Seeker, is the day after the Boston Marathon bombing, New England's out of Boston, they play there. The day after that bombing, there was a drill practiced simulating a terrorist attack on a Super Bowl like event. The date of that drill was April 16th, 2013. 4/16/13. 4/16/13, right? If you add 4 plus 16 plus 13, you get 33. So the drill was practiced on a date with 33 numerology. If you study these events, you know about the coincidences. I shouldn't say coincidences. You know about the history of drills and then the media reporting them as real events, attacks. The Boston Marathon bombing was one of these events. It was actually a drill practiced live during the marathon and reported as a real terrorist attack. So perhaps there's something like that planned for Super Bowl 49. One of these fake terrorist attacks and then a major martial law type response. It seems like that's what they're going for. And it seems like eventually they're going to go for the national martial law. So anyway, these Bible verses, this comes from Revelation 7:4. Revelation 7:4. Remember, Revelation equals 49, like Super Bowl 49. This verse is about uniting the 144,000 tribes of Israel. And there's a lot of debate over what that means. But to me, it sounds like uniting a lot of people. And imagine if there were a terrorist attack at the Super Bowl with as many people watching as they do when the Super Bowl's on. And each year it grows in popularity internationally. It would create a lot of sympathy for, another false cause blamed on a false group of people for a terrorist attack, which it seems to be how our governments and world governments work. On 9/11, the attack was blamed on Al Qaeda, when we know we know it wasn't Al Qaeda that was responsible. But look at, it hasn't mattered. They've been able to justify law changes and wars of aggression and countless other things out of this major lie. And, they need to refresh that lie likely. So there likely will be another 9/11. And it very likely might happen on something such as the Super Bowl. What better venue? All right, Truth Seeker. So I want to close out with one more major storyline in this Super Bowl. It has much to do with Pete Carroll, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Before being the coach of the Seahawks, he was the coach of USC, University of Southern Cal. But before that, he was the coach of the New England Patriots and New York Jets. When he became the coach of the Seahawks, he had a career record of 33 wins and 31 losses from his time with the Patriots and Jets. He replaced Jim Mora Jr., who left the Seahawks with a record of 31 and 33, the flip of that 33 and 31. And what are those? Those are the ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Also, the Seahawks are one of 3 teams with a 33 name, and they were established in the year 74. They joined the NFL in 76, joined in 74. 33 and 74 are often paired together in this study. Plus, you think about how Seattle's on the 47th parallel. Another interesting fast fact, the Steelers won their first Super Bowl in 74. The Seahawks lost their first Super Bowl to the Steelers. The Steelers were also established in the year 33. So yet again, the 33-74 connection. In Super Bowl 47, we had the 33-minute blackout. You find these numbers paired together so often. And also, with regards to him coaching against New England, Seattle is the first team to repeat going back-to-back Super Bowls since New England did it. And New England has been coached by Bill Belichick since Pete Carroll left there. So there very much is a storyline between Seattle and New England. And turns out that was the Super Bowl script after all for Super Bowl 49. As I'm saying, Truth Seeker, these games are scripted. The seasons are scripted. They can be decoded. What I have done is I have come close. Close but no cigar. But in coming close but no cigar, again, we have revealed a lot, and we see what they've done. The script was all about the Patriots and who the Patriots would be going through to get to the Super Bowl. And in hindsight, it wasn't that hard of a calculation to make looking back because, as we showed, the Patriots have dominated this era of Super Bowls. In other words, they weren't that hard of a team to pick for the Super Bowl. All right. Until next time, Truth Seeker.